everybody, welcome back to the channel. So listen, I'm gonna jump right into this video. We are talking about personal credit. I believe this is the first video in a series of conversations about personal credit. So if that is what you're here for, you want to talk about personal credit, be sure to go to the playlist when you come to the channel, and that's where I'm going to be dropping all these videos. So with that being said, let's get into this. Disclaimer. I'm not an attorney, CPA, accountant, financial advisor. No, I'm not. I'm simply sharing my experiences. I'm sharing my journey, maybe my opinion. So don't take my advice. Do your research in making your own decisions. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right? You're going to want to consult a professional for legal and financial advice before you do anything regarding your money, if you're not sure. All right, so how to build personal credit. Let's start with the purpose. Let's determine what is the purpose of us building credit. What would be the reason? And for me, it would be to buy a house. You know, I don't have cash outright to buy a $350,000 house or to build a house or buy land. I want good credit so that someone would loan that to me. To buy a house, to buy cars. I want credit cards. I want to have working capital in my business so that I can buy assets that will produce passive income. So that is my purpose. And I think that having a purpose for specifically what it is that you're doing is really going to frame how you go about doing it and how serious you are with what you're doing. All right. So we are ready to start building out our personal credit. The first thing that I needed to know, the first thing that you're going to need to know is what your credit score is. So let's just log right into the 3 credit bureaus that report personal credit. And they're listed here on the screen: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So those are the 3 credit reporting agencies that report personal credit. You're going to need to know, what are they reporting? That is critical throughout this journey, is to always know what it is that they're reporting. Know what your credit score is. Know what these credit bureaus are. So they all can be accessed online. They all have apps that you can download and create your account and get started. So you know your credit score. The next area that is so critical is that you know what the credit score is. Like, what does that mean? What is a score? What makes up the score? What are the ingredients? You can call those ingredients. There are 5 ingredients to the credit score, and they're listed here in this diagram. Payment history. That is, are you paying your credit card bills on time? Are you paying whatever debt you have on time? How much do you owe in relation to how much you borrowed? So if you borrowed $1,000 and you charged $500, that means you charge 50% of the amount owed. So credit history, the amount owed, those, as you can see, the breakdown, 35% and 30%, that is over half of your score. So these 2 are the most vital components of your credit score, of your FICO score. All right. The other 3, I kind of lump those together. I don't think that you have a whole lot of control over those, once you get started building out, and you'll hear my opinion why. So new credit, 10%. Your credit mix is another 10%. So what that is new credit is every time you apply for credit. Yeah, they kind of take away a point or 2 for you applying. And maybe it's only going to really affect you if you're applying a lot. If you go in and you're like, hey, I'm applying for 10 different credit cards, your credit score is going to drop dramatically, because that kind of looks like it could be a sign of an abusive, person, someone who is abusing credit. So when you apply for new credit, hey, it's not going to be a big deal, because you're going to need to have new credit, maybe in order to increase your credit score. So number 2 is the credit mix. That is, what makes up your credit, like what types of credit you have. And there are different types. There's an auto loan, there are credit cards, there's a mortgage, and there are personal loans. So having a variety of credit mix is a really good thing. Yes, if you only have one type, like if you only have a one credit card, it's going to matter eventually. That was my situation. When I started this journey, I knew nothing. I said, no, I'm not doing credit cards. I'm not doing auto loans. I don't want to get myself into debt. I don't make a lot of money. I'm not going that route. But what happened is, I didn't have a credit score. I did not have a credit score, or should I say the credit score that was reporting was just very low. And I later found out why it was low, and it's because I had no new credit. I had no variety in credit mix, and the length of history is just basically how old is your credit. Did you just get credit yesterday, or have you had these accounts for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? So the longer you have these accounts, you're paying on time, you're utilizing the amount that is available to you in a wise, you're making wise decisions. You're not just maximizing all of your credit cards. You're not just charging them, which means you're living off of them. If you're charging your credit cards and using the max, if you have a personal line of credit and you're using the max over a long period of time, that's what's reporting, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I know that we think, hey, they're making money off of me. That should be a good thing. But, that's not. You are actually going to be penalized for using credit as if it's your income. So think of it as, hey, you're going to be rewarded if you are utilizing this with proper judgment. You're budgeting, you're planning, you are planning ahead. All right. So pay your bills on time and utilize that debt properly. It's going to make all the difference in the world. Now, before we move on, you see the breakdowns. You have 35% is going to be your payment history, which is critical. These numbers and will fluctuate. They're different from reporting agency or the lenders. Sometimes you may see 40% is based on your payment history. Sometimes you'll see the amount owed being classified or called utilization. How much are you utilizing? Most common, you see 30%. Sometimes you may see 25% or 35%. Nonetheless, you know that those two areas are the most critical. Those two areas, paying on time and utilizing the credit responsibly, is over half of the credit score itself. So if you just understand those two, if you do nothing else, you're paying that bill on time. Whatever the agreement is, you're paying it on time, not after the due date. I know that we like to rely on grace periods, but no, you pay the bill on time. So if it's being automatically taken out of your account, you want to make sure you have that auto pay on, and you want to make sure that it is being paid on time. the amounts owed. You want to make sure that you are not exceeding 30%. We're going to talk more about the utilization, in another video. This video, we're simply just setting the foundation, setting some, personal credit, foundational literacy here. Once you wrap your brain around the topics that I'm talking about in this video, once you get that foundation memorized, building your personal credit is going to be so much better and so much smoother. All right, so we're going to know our credit score. We're going to know what the credit score is made up of. And now we're going to move into understanding the different credit types and understanding that there are industry-specific credit scores. There are industry-specific FICO scores. Yes, I know. So if it can't get any more confusing, right? So, all right, so let's break this down. Credit types. I talked a little bit about it on the previous slide. There is the auto industry. The auto industry has a very specific scoring model and a very specific, they use, I believe it's FICO 2, sometimes FICO 8. There's general credit, like for a personal line of credit. There are credit cards. There are auto loans, I said auto loans. There are mortgages. There are store credits, like store credit cards, like, hey, this is my Big Lots credit card. I can only use it at Big Lots. So there are various industries, and in those industries, they have their own FICO scoring model. So FICO, I believe there's the general FICO. There's FICO 2, FICO 3, FICO 4, up to FICO 9, I believe we're at, FICO 9. And when they report to the credit unions, they may report the different FICO scores. They may be different. So one auto company may do all of their reporting to Experian, and they may use a FICO 2, and some auto companies may use a FICO 8. So these are things that we as the consumer, we really can't control who reports what and where. But what we can control is our understanding. If we know that we're going to apply for an auto loan, we're going to want to look at our auto loan FICO score. If we are specifically going to build out our credit card portfolio, then we want to specifically look at credit cards. And from my research and the credit cards that I've been using, most of them are using FICO 3 and FICO 8. So, learning who or what industry uses what credit cards or FICO scores, and then also knowing who reports to what bureau, because everyone does not report to all of the credit bureaus. I know this can sound and seem very complex, but I assure you that it's really not, because there's only so much that you can do. But if you understand what the other people are doing, then it makes sense. So let's move on. Knowing your credit score. You're not just going to know your credit score at the beginning of this process, but you want to monitor your credit score every single day. So when you are on a mission to building your personal credit, you want to know what that credit score is at any given time. You want to know the moment something is reported, immediately. So sign up to Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. There's some other companies out there like FICO.com, Credit Karma. You can go there. Sign up for a free account. I highly recommend that you get a membership. I like the Equifax, the Experian memberships, because they include all of your FICO scores from the three major reporting agencies, as well as the various different FICO scores for each industry. So it's all in one. And I believe it's about, I don't know, $25, $30 a month. It is well worth it. Very much well worth it. So while you're, setting up your accounts, you're monitoring your credit, it's going to take you some time to get used to all of the information that's listed. There's a ton of information, a lot of educational resources, simulators, so many simulators. So you can say, okay, well, what if I get a new credit card with a $5,000 limit? What does that do to my score? You can say, hey, I have a 500 credit score now. I want to get it up to a 600 credit score. What can I do? And I love this. They will offer, they will make recommendations. So these are really good tools. It's going to help you understand what your credit score is. All right, so now we have our score. We have our scores. What do they mean? Are they good? Are they bad? What are they trying to tell us? Okay. Now, so looking at this diagram, we have the FICO score, and this is probably the general FICO score. I'm not sure, but 360 to 580 is poor, and 750 to 850 is, I guess, good. So you're going to see these numbers and these scores. They're going to vary across the board. Some lenders may say a 750 is okay, but they look for, there's some agencies look for credit scores that's high, like 800, 825. If it's not near perfect, they're, hey. And then there are other lenders or institutions that, hey, if you have a 560, 570 credit score, we will do business with you. So it really depends. But this is going to at least give you an idea of what your credit score is, the range, and now you can start to work to determine, hey, well, what do I need to do? So knowing your credit score, knowing where you're categorized at, and these lower scores does not necessarily mean that you have bad credit, because that was my situation. My case was I only had one type of credit, and that was a mortgage. I had no credit cards. I had nothing. So I had to start to build a strategy. I got all of my credit scores and my highlighters and my pens, and I compared them. And this is something that you're going to have to do. Look to see what is actually reporting. This is how you're going to start determining your strategy, your building strategy. Is there anything listed on the credit report that you may need to dispute? Double check, triple check. Make sure. There may be items that you would need to dispute and have removed. You may need to obtain new credit. Were you like me that you only had one credit card? You may need to get another credit card, maybe a store card, Visa, MasterCard, a card that you can use anywhere. You may need to take out a personal loan to pay down some debt. You may need to, get an auto loan. Not need to get an auto loan, but if it's something that you're planning on doing anyway, it may not hurt. We'll talk more about strategy. Definitely we'll have lots of content about strategy, because you really need to get very specific with it. We'll talk about that strategy and managing and monitoring. But in looking at your strategy, do you need to possibly increase your credit limits or decrease your debt? Maybe both. Maybe you need to increase the credit limits while you're decreasing debt. So all of this, building out your strategy, is going to help with that score. Once you start building, meaning Once you get rid of a disputed item and you see that it falls off your credit, what it does to your score, then you'll say, okay, you'll get one new line of credit. You'll see what it does to your score. You're going to be paying your bills on time. You're going to keep your utilization under 30%. You're going to quickly see how this affects your score. It's not going to be scary anymore. I promise you, it wasn't scary for me once I understood what it was. Once I understood, hey, this is all I need to do is get the account, purchase some gas and let that sit on auto pay. So this is a screenshot of I believe it's my FICO 8 credit score right at the beginning of the year. It was 692. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to push this over 700. I need to keep this as high as possible. Let me just pay down a credit card bill. I just paid down the balance on one of my credit cards. That's it. 30 days later, my score is up 20 points. So I paid down the balance on another high credit card balance that I had. And so I am pretty sure that on March 3rd, my score will be another 20 to 30% higher. So I already know this because that is the way it has been. I know what to expect. So I did all kinds of things this month. I am recording this in the month of February. I increased my credit lines on some of my cards. I paid off debt, but I also got new lines of credit. So, this is going to be interesting. So now we're on step 5. We're at the this right here is bringing everything together that I've talked about. Now that you have your score, you have your strategy, you have your alerts, you've signed up, you have this membership, you're going to be managing and monitoring this entire process. You're going to make sure that you have the alerts coming to your phone, or you have the app, have those alerts so that it's going to sound when something hits your credit. Make sure that whatever accounts you have reporting, that your payments are on auto payment. You don't want to miss anything. You don't want to miss a deadline. You don't want to miss a date. You don't want to accidentally pay the wrong amount. So managing this process is absolutely critical. I handle all of my management in an Excel spreadsheet. I have all of my accounts listed, what the balances are, what the payment date is, and I'm going to share my Excel spreadsheet with you. It's the exact same template that I've been using for years. I'm going to share that with you in an upcoming video and show you how you can get tell you how you can get a copy of the exact Excel spreadsheet that I use to manage everything. And all I've simply done was started at the beginning. I mean, I just cannot stop reiterating this over and over again, because this is the foundation. If you do nothing else, you will be successful in this by just knowing your credit score and monitoring it, by having a really good credit mix. It's okay to have, your Big Lots credit card, your Home Depot credit card, have a couple of Visas, have a couple of MasterCards, Capital One credit cards. A lot of people have auto loans, that's not uncommon. So that's a good thing. I didn't have an auto loan, but what I did was I went and took out a personal loan of about $5,000 with the intent to pay it right back. Okay. So I had the cash and I thought, should I pay my credit card off? And I said, you know what? Let's do this. Let me get the personal loan, use my cash to pay a few months. I probably kept the personal loan for maybe 6 to 9 months, watching those payments hit, showing that on-time payment history. That's what you want. You want it to be on-time payment history so that all of the credit bureaus, they start to report good things about you. And that's it. It's like once you build up this credit, it's done. As long as you maintain those payments and that utilization, it is done. You're going to say, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. And now I can mimic the behavior in my personal. I am now mimicking that in my business. Except my business is so much easier. You can build business credit so fast. It's so much easier, and you're not penalized for applying for too much debt. You're not penalized in your business for having high balances because, the one thing about our great country is we understand capitalism and we understand business. So you're not penalized. And so, which none of this that I'm telling you, I knew 3 years ago. Not one bit of it. So, as you can tell at the beginning of the thumbnail, these are just some of the credit cards. I'm telling you, 3 years ago, I had no credit cards at all. I had a mortgage that I had horrible payment history with my mortgage. I fell on some hard times and I had absolute horrible payment history. So it wasn't that I had bad credit. I just had no credit. I had one credit line reporting for years, 13 or 14 years at that time. But my payment history was horrible. I had no utilization rate at all. I had no credit mix. I had no new lines of credit. So that's what it was. And once I realized that that's what it was, I accidentally started to build credit. Just one day I was in the Big Lot store, which is one of my favorite stores, by the way, and I applied for a credit card and I got approved for $800. It took me a year to use it, but hey, that was the start. That was the start.